snip that, wind in over the top of it like that. I'm going to counter wrap my copper wire at this point. I like to use copper on these. If I'm using like olive, I'll use copper. Copper or gold. For some reason when I go with the olive, I nearly always like the copper. Okay, now we're going to rig this fly so that it'll run upside down. And if you weight this one for fishing in a river, you really can appreciate this, because if it rides hook point up, you won't have a problem with getting hooked up on rocks and stuff, which the whole reason to weight a fly is to get it down next to the bottom of the current to begin with. So at this point, you can use one or two things for like the shell back. You can use a nice piece of turkey feather, or you can use one of the materials that's like this. You could use this in the brown or the olive, either one. I'm going to go with the turkey feather this morning, because usually if I can make something out of natural materials, that's the way I'm going to do it. From here, we're going to use the mottled section of the turkey feather, and we're going to clip a pretty substantial section. You'll notice it gets thinner toward the tips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thinner portion, and you notice there's a shiny. I'm going to put the shiny side down because I'm going to fold it over, and I want the shiny side to be where I can see it. So we're going to come in here, bind this down, pull this kind of back up on top, because you want to keep that up on top like that. I usually at this point go ahead and snip that off and wind forward over it a couple of times just to kind of catch all that stuff. Now, golden stone wouldn't be a golden stone without some gold in it. You can use gold, yellow chartreuse, and this is a good medium yellow chenille right here. Same thing here. I took my scissors, cleaned out the end of it this way. I'm going to put the chenille underneath, bind it in like that, wind back over it. Alright, at this point you have a couple of choices. You can use guinea, which I find is a really good material for these flies. You can use an orange dyed guinea. You can use a pretty olive looking colored guinea, or you can use a grizzly, or a brown, a furnace. You can use several different kinds of hackle, okay? And you would do this mainly to vary the color that you're working with. Sometimes, the color makes all the difference in the world. I've seen times when if this was chartreuse, I could load up on the fish, and if it was yellow, they wouldn't touch it. So there's weird times when the fish like yellow or chartreuse or white. But, to look more like a golden stone, it ought to have some yellow in it. So I've got a piece of soft hackle here. This is a piece of soft grizzly hackle. When we wind this in, we want to take it and strip it back like this to make it flare out pretty. Put the tail right in here, right in front of the chenille, and then wind that in same kind of way like this. Now at this point I always like to put a little head cement, whatever your favorite kind is. I use CA, super glue, cyanocrylate type, probably more than anything. And the reason I really love the super glue type of thing is because it wicks into the thread so well, and I find that it really makes a fly hold up better than almost anything that's out there. You know, to be honest, plain old varnish, either you know, an old-fashioned varnish, spar varnish, or you know, any of the poplar head cements works well. Some of them take a lot longer to dry, and that's one of the reasons that I use a super glue. Okay, I'm going to wrap this, just palmer it in just like we would. On most patterns. Now I'm going to catch with my hackle pliers. Now, there's hackle pliers are one of those things you can spend all the money you want on. In my opinion, I'm still searching for the greatest pair. Some are better for some things than others. Right here, I don't need to be too delicate, so I'm just going with a heavy pair. I'm going to wind this in, and I'm going to counterwind it not counterwind it, but wind it palmer into the spaces of your chenille. Okay, here at the end, I'm going to loop it around it this way to catch the end of that hackle. Sometimes when you're working with a soft hackle, you're going to catch a few little snippets that stick out over the end. That's this way. When you do, you just clean them up. Now I'm going to come in here, take my turkey feather, I'm going to push these hackles down, bind in my turkey feather here, trim that off clean. And then I'm going to finish out the head. Stonefly's got kind of a prominent head, so there's nothing wrong with building this up a little bit. And come back, put your good whip finish in there. Pull it up just right, and it'll break right off. There you have it. That's my version of a golden stone. It'll ride upside down because the way this is flared this way and the way that the shell back comes over, it'll help it to, when it hits the water, this will make it roll over. And this is really a great fly. Hope you enjoy that one.